And we're back.
What's
again.
Good?
Chris is back in the office.
Back at the desk, baby. Let's go.
Let's go, dude.
Dude, trading season is instigated. Here we goes, man. What's the call of the day, Chris? What's happening today, man?
Oh, bro, we're gonna long Ripple, the standard XRP. Seems to be what's working in the industry. So let's run that back.
Did you see that there is now a strategic SUI reserve? Did you guys see that this morning?
No.
You didn't see this?
I didn't see it. No.
You got to pull that up, man. You got to tell me that one, bro.
So World Liberty Fi announced this morning that they are partnering with SUI for a national or a strategic SUI reserve. Let me see. I think it's from the SUI account.
That's not an American team, is it? Is SUI an American team?
SUI? I am not actually sure. So here, look at this. I saw a bunch of people pissed that they're saying, "Oh, this is all a joke now." But I don't know. I think we should just always have.
It's always been a joke.
So they said, so SUI said, we're extremely excited to announce a partnership with World Liberty Fi, a Donald J. Trump inspired pioneering DeFi protocol rooted in a shared vision for a more open and transparent financial future. It says, as part of the collaboration, World Liberty Fi will include SUI in their strategic token reserve designed to bolster leading Web3 assets. World Liberty Fi and Sui have begun exploring product development opportunities. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like those random partnerships that you see for like a new like protocol where it'll say like Emblem is now partnered with this thing, and no one, they actually have no idea what the partnership even means. It's just like in your DMs.
We make a tweet together and now we're partners.
Yeah. It's like Emblem has literally dozens of these in the DMs where it's like, hey, let's partner. And then you ask what's in mind. And they're just like, oh, we just had in mind that we just wanted to post that we're partners.
Yeah.
On Twitter. That's like what this reminds me of.
Totally. The you know, all the chatter on the timeline. Who was Jack Mahlers was the one, you know, he made a little video from his closet, you know, saying how anything but Bitcoin is awful and the worst thing ever. And Bitcoin, you know, it's the same old story that Bitcoin is the holy of holies. The only thing ever launched fairly is Bitcoin, which if you even look at for 8 seconds, you realize that's a bullshit take. But there are degrees, right? There are degrees of what, you know, any single individual thinks is, you know, fair or decentralized or whatever. These are like spectrums. And, you know, I mean, basically all of us agree that Ripple is about as far away on, it's about as left on the spectrum of decentralized and fair launch as you can get. I mean, it's like the least fair of anything. So obviously it upsets a whole bunch of us that it gets included or is thought to be included. But then, you know, there are a lot of Uber drivers out there who damn sure want Ripple included, right? So, you know, this battle has to take place. We have to battle this out on the timeline. And so I guess Sui is the next one up here where we get to debate, you know, how much of Sui is controlled by insiders. I see, you know, Raoul Paul, you know, is posting about it, but it turns out, well, shit, he's got 1% of the supply or some shit, you know? So, you know, I think the best place to have these, you know, these battles is on the timeline. Like, do we think Sui should be in? I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. Tell me the tokenomics of it.
Of Sui?
Yeah.
So I think that this is specifically just for World Liberty Fi, which is like their DeFi project. So I highly doubt this will go into the actual U.S. strategic reserve. Who knows? Maybe there is like some sort of donation. But this reminds me more of like the kind of like a 3-3 situation where it's like, hey, if you buy my tokens, I'll buy your tokens. I don't know if you remember when World Liberty Fi failed to sell out. They said that there was like a rumor that World Liberty Fi was doing these backroom deals where it was like, hey, if you buy 5 million of my token, I'll buy 5 million of your token. So this might be.
Was it CZ or Justin Sun who bought, you know, $50 million of World Liberty?
Well, Justin Sun recently bought 75 million of Trump, and then like a few days later, his SEC case was dropped.
It's just coincidence, possibly.
Anybody that partners with the Trumps is gonna get rugged.
You think so? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, they use everybody as exit liquidity. Barron was over there making mad money during the Trump coin launch. Did you see the leverage? Like, what was it? Like $100 million leveraged in Bitcoin in calls as it was like tanking, and then suddenly the next day he announces the reserves, and then it shoots up. It was like 50x leverage. Nobody did that.
Yeah, I saw it. So you're talking about the
Hyperliquid.
Yeah, you're talking about the hyperliquid longs, as well as I think there was one on GMX as well. I've read conflicting reports about it. I've read that it was like a degen. I've also read that it was traced back to like the Paxo CEO. I don't think we'll ever actually know, but insider trading is now officially on chain. When the world can see it.
When you have over $100 million, you lose that degenning aspect of your life. You know what I mean?
No, I don't actually. I know that are much more wealthy who participate, man. I don't know how long you've been in crypto, but we literally last cycle just saw a hedge fund blow up, a $2 billion hedge fund, right? With this Zoo and Kyle Davies. These guys, the more money you make, dude, the more of a degen you become. It seems like.
Yeah, totally.
But a
Yeah.
50x long is crazy.
You know, to me, just another typical day in crypto. I mean, definitely, did this person have access to insider information? Probably. But honestly, I'd rather have my insider trading on chain than kind of hidden in the dark like Nancy Pelosi and the U.S. politicians, where you don't know until 6 months later after they have to kind of show their financial report.
I mean, but that's like associated with their names as public. Now you don't, like you were saying, on chain, you don't know who's doing these transactions. It's like kind of very shady. While we know that Nancy Pelosi does insider trading with Nvidia and all those other companies, but like,
So what's it matter? What's it matter if you know who the person is or not?
if you know who the person is, then you can put them kind of on the center stage. Like now they're passing legislations to try and ban.
Bro, we've been telling Nancy Pelosi, we've been calling Nancy Pelosi's insider trading for literally like a decade. This point, like nothing has happened.
Nothing's happened. She
It's,
hasn't.
it's gonna make it worse. It's gonna be like more mainstream. It's not. The more you could prevent it, the better.
And we haven't prevented any of it though. That's the thing.
This hasn't been.
Like
It's not prevented at all. The beauty of it is that when it's on chain like this, you can see everybody who's there could have seen that he did that, right? And you could have copy traded it if you had fucking balls of steel. You could have done it too, Yeah, I just think it's the insider trading game and the fucking bullshit game that politicians do. This isn't going away anytime soon. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Hey, GM guys. Yeah, I love that discussion. I heard about a very important strategic reserve in Bestcoin, right? Can you confirm, Adam? I think this is a super important and very, having a long history. It should definitely be included. I mean, the list should not be too short. I mean, we need to diversify. We need to be in the most important
top 2,000 coins should all get in, man. Top 2,000 should all be in the reserve.
I mean, that's what some people. That's what some people suggested, right? Rather than picking some particular coins, let's just have a basket of the top 10 or so. Then at least it is somehow objective and not some backdoor negotiations who donated most. Right. Then the only question is what is the threshold? Top 10, top 20? I mean, I think doesn't make too much sense to go too much lower. Yeah. Of course, as if you really take this decentralized idea seriously, I don't know why you should not just start with Bitcoin and maybe have some ETH. I wouldn't say that anything else would make any sense. But I mean, we're not talking about Web3 native people. This is now politics. This is business. So it can be any outcome. So what I thought was going on today till tomorrow's meeting with our friends like CSAT and all those. I thought that the price would dump again to like say 77 and then they can pump it again. So I was already having some liquidity on hyperliquids for that case, and now it's not working out, right? I mean, everyone was expecting that, so I don't think that there's anything happening tomorrow because it doesn't make too much sense. The price is already too high, cannot pump. So let's see. I think it will be a wild ride next couple of months, and so it won't be boring. It won't be boring.
It should be fun. So today, David Sachs came out because everyone's kind of speculating what's going to happen here on Friday. He said that the U.S. government sold 195,000 Bitcoins so far for $366 million. It would be 17 billion today. So they really sold the lows, man. That's like 20,000 a Bitcoin or so, right? These guys are selling it like the 2017 all-time highs.
Ouch.
There's still, I believe, a little over 200,000 left. Right, the speculation is with the strategic reserve, is U.S. taxpayer money going to be used to purchase, the largest shitcoin in the world like XRP, or will it be donated? That was we were talking about this in Denver. I'm more on the side that anything outside of Bitcoin will probably be donated because a lot of this capital generally from these reserves, right? Like XRP has a 50%. They own 50% of supply. I don't know how much the ADA Foundation has, but donating 1% of the supply to a treasury reserve, they'll probably make all that back literally just on the coin pumping itself, and it's locked up for a long time. Whereas something like Bitcoin, you actually have to have there is no donation, right? There is no Bitcoin Foundation that's holding a large treasury, so they actually have to go out and purchase it. And I believe they need Congress approval to purchase that. Chris, what's your take on the situation of the U.S. strategic meme coin reserve?
Yeah, I'm a fan. I mean, this was always part of the game plan, right? It was always kind of, it's inevitable. So you might as well just be the earliest one to kind of adopt these technologies. And I think that's kind of where we are. I don't really get the opposition to a strategic reserve. If the industry truly thinks that it's the best money in the world, obviously that means that, it's money for everyone, money for friends, money for enemies, money is for government, money is for states, corporations, etc. So I think it's just natural evolution and progression for them to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve. As far as the other coins, I think it's kind of a waste and distraction to what we're doing here. But also, I do think Dogfather's kind of idea of like an index would be the best way to kind of push that forward and have kind of an even playing field and kind of a benchmark for what would make sense. But yeah, I think we should be buying Bitcoin. I think it's better if they did sell the Bitcoin that they did have. So, less Bitcoin on their balance sheet for now is better for us in the industry. They can buy it on the free market like anyone else.
Because they got to buy our bags.
If someone sold us, they got to buy back.
Yeah. I don't know. How did the maxis get so low that it's like the entire purpose of Bitcoin is to try and get governments to buy it? I don't know. It just seems like we've lost the plot to a degree. I understand it. Obviously the biggest bag holders on earth, if it's governments, your number's going to go up. But I think tomorrow the big risk, honestly, is this, like, if there is this if there is like zero capital gains on, zero capital gains tax on like long-term capital gains or something like massively transformative like that, which I think is a really low odds. But if that happens, I am really concerned that we would get a huge dump. I don't know. It just feels that way.
You don't think the people wanting to trade taxless assets is more than the current?
Oh no, I think long term it would be unbelievably bullish.
Even like short term, it's like that would like spark a bunch of capital from every corner of the planet to trade tax free.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that could be.
Well, usually that doesn't go in effect until like the next calendar year, anyways.
Right.
Exactly.
Like even just in the U.S., we have the biggest corporations in the world, the biggest hedge funds, investment banks in the world, biggest all these endowments from all these colleges, and if they can trade something tax free, they're going to do that. Even if 1% of that money trickles in, that's like trillions of dollars.
Sure. Yeah, you could be right. I don't know. It just feels like all new. I don't know. Somebody put out a tweet the other day. It was like, it didn't matter the news. It was like good news, bad news, any news, ETH dumps. You know what I mean? It's like, and it feels like that's where we are in the crypto cycle right now. It like doesn't even matter. We've had the most bullish news of all time, literally, in the crypto sector, and it's been nothing but down only. So I don't know. It feels like until something changes, we're going to get some down only still. Just maybe this is the change. Like maybe tomorrow will be a change. I don't know. Doesn't feel right though. Feels like we're going lower.
Crypto's just right now in that kind of consolidation trend lower until there's like some sort of massive news. But we've talked about this many times, that we're more under the opinion that this is just more of like a mid-cycle kind of consolidation period than it is like a complete reset. Although pretty much every altcoin's gone to zero, like quite fast.
And there are a whole lot more. I mean, it's funny because people are like, well, meme coins are altcoins. I'm like, really? Because if they are, then they're literally like billions of altcoins. It's like, how do you keep I think we need to like reframe what an altcoin is. I made a post about it yesterday. It's like, it feels like we need to like, put it into like, large cap, small cap, and meme cap, buckets or something like that. Right. Where it's like, just different things. Right now, it's like Bitcoin and everything else, and it feels like that no longer works for us. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm just happy that we have positive regulation here because we could do kind of things like buybacks. I was just scrolling my timeline that the Kaido team just did a buyback of some of their Kaido. It's been one of the few altcoins that have kind of been trending upwards.
Nice.
This is not something that you could do as a US company literally as of a few months ago. So we're going to start seeing this, which is, has positive price impacts, but also allows for great types of tokenomics where you can actually buy the token back and then you can distribute it in some sort of like gamification, and you could kind of get this like fee flywheel going. So we'll know for certain once this market structure bill comes. I think we have now 5 months or so until that comes. But until then, I think it's really, I think the industry is kind of in this spot where it has to figure out what is the next meta that's going to be played. What are the emerging sectors? Is it going to be DeFi AI? Right? Is it going to be this kind of SocialFi game? Is it going to be abstract NFTs, which are kind of popping off for a little bit? Or are we going to get ICO 2.0 era? I'm just seeing all this money kind of just being thrown at the wall right now for trying to find things to stick. I mean, Odin Fund has kind of had its day over the last few days. Is that something that continues to grow? Or is it something that kind of falls short? Last cycle, when FTX imploded, we had maybe 5 or 6 months of kind of like this dull period. And then you had ordinals popped up and you had meme coins that popped up like a few months after that. And I think ordinals really took off. Well, FTX collapsed, I think, in November, maybe October. And then ordinals popped up in like February, at least when it started catching traction. I think meme coins popped up in like April or May. So if you kind of calculate the same, you really have like about 4 months to really figure out, where that next 1000X is, but you better make sure that it's in, you better make sure that it's in the right emerging sector.
How much did they spend buying back the 13?
And not much, like 30,000 or something like that. But I think it's still like this kind of thing. It's just, it shows to the community that you're willing to take some of the revenue and buy the token back, and to show that you're trying to accrue value. Jupiter and Hyperliquid's also been doing this at a much larger scale as well. And obviously this is something that we want to do at Emblem with keys and with Tensor, depending on, what ecosystem you're playing on. Obviously you need to have the community buy-in for those buybacks to happen, because there's no point as an operator to buy back the token if the token's pretty much a zero, right? Or I guess you like buy it all. I guess you buy it all back and then you kind of distribute it in a different type of way.
Yeah, what I can't remember if people like buy, what was it? Plunge protection. That's what they wanted. Plunge protection. It's interesting though. I mean, I've seen, Yaps, although people aren't talking about it nearly as much on the timeline. It seems to me like that's faded off the timeline a bit. Like Ethos has kind of come in. I don't know if you're, Jake, I think you're on there, right? On Ethos, I'm definitely on there doing the review thing. I don't fully get how these things are going to work as far as like, is this going to be a social network? Or are they just trying to build, like with Ethos, they're trying to build like this, like, review meta, which is like, okay, I review you, you review me. There's some sort of like staking mechanism where I can stake ETH, for Jake saying he's not going to, he's a good person, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, but I don't really know how this is going to like, how's this thing going to work? Like, is this going to be a social network? It just doesn't, I'm still the whole SocialFi thing. I don't see it yet. I
kind of call it like SocialFi 2.0, because you have Kaido, which is this like it's a social graph essentially. So they call it InfoFi, but it's a social graph to where you can kind of look at the mind share across these different ecosystems and kind of have a better measurement of who the big players or influencers are in your community, it's great for brands, right? If you're a marketer for a protocol, Kaido is probably like your dream. Instead of having to go door to door trying to DM people, like how many DMs do we get of just like these random copy pastas of, hey, let's partner, or we'd love to collaborate, right? It's just like, it's so faceless because those marketers are trying to figure out who's interested in their ecosystem. But with Kaido, you can just go look and say, oh, these are kind of the 10 individuals in our community who have the largest mind share. So I could just go directly to them. But then they built this thing called, they have the token, and Yaps is this way to earn their token. It's almost like a proof of work system if you think about it. You have to put out original content. They actually just yesterday they just announced that they're nuking all copy pastas. They said that if it's not original, then you're not going to get any app for it. And then you get this Kaido token, which then you can use for voting for these different mindshare boards and stuff like that. I actually just got paid yesterday from this team called the Yap DAO, or they basically like pool your votes, and they like go to these different companies, and company pays them money, and then they pool your votes and they pay you. It's called the Yap DAO. It's pretty cool. So they have these like inter-economies, but then you move over to something like Ethos, which is on-chain reputation. I believe they tried to do this on Counterparty back in the day as well. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like on-chain reputation eventually leads to on-chain credit at some point in time, which you would want these kind of things. But is this really something that you can speculate on per se? I don't know. That you do earn XP on it, but it is just kind of this like, I kind of made fun of it as kind of like a Yelp, right? You just kind of review people. But crypto always does this thing where it ends up becoming this 3-3 situation where it's like, oh, if you review me, I'll review you,
Right.
kind of thing. So it's tough to really get that authenticity there. It's actually funny. The worst, the person who has the worst reviews is Kook Capital.
Yeah.
If you go to me, it's 50 negative reviews.
Yeah.
It's like the worst. It's funny. I
It's
don't
a
have it on this.
pylon. I mean, it's funny because I've been on Ethos, and I know Dogfather, and I'll let you speak in a sec, man. I know you're on there, but I look at like the leaderboard, the top 100, bro. I know like 2 guys in the top 100, and that for me, that's like, oh, this system is being heavily gamed, right? These guys literally have like 1 million, vouchers or whatever you call them. I don't even know, XP. And I'm like, I don't even know who this person, like, I've never even seen this person on a timeline, right? And so I just wonder, Yaps, it seemed like, no, this was like more legit in that, you had to be, for your kind of tweets to count for Yaps, you had to be connected with people who were also connected. While, my kind of criticism of Ethos is it feels like it's being much more gamed than Yaps was. That's just my kind of first view. But what do you think, Dogfather?
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, these are 2 projects that are like having some traction. I mean, I think you can also not compare them right now because Kaido is just way more advanced. They found their product market fit. As you can see with their TGE, that was pretty successful. While Ethos is super early. I mean, I really appreciate the founder. He's super open, discuss with the people, but you see that they don't. I mean, they're super early. They really don't know what to do with that. They have some idea. Let's build it and then let's see where we go. They have this reputational market, like a bit like Poly market, but for reputation. But there's nothing going on. So there's like 10 people and very little trading volume. I think like 50K or less in total. And those guys don't move. I mean, you have these average people where we know they are okay and they're not like the worst actors. They have to agree that there's a market for you. So Kook would probably not say, hey, that's a cool idea, because what can he win? So you see people having like 50 to 55% of reputation and then very, very little volatility. So they need to work on this reputational market, which is per se a good idea. But I would say my main criticism for the market, which could be something where they earn revenues, is that reputation is relatively sticky, right? I mean, let's take Jake. I mean, we all know Jake, and the likelihood that he will kind of like start a pump and dump tomorrow is extremely low. He's doing his job, you know, he's a hustler, he's like consistently showing up. This is something that's like very sticky. And then there are some other people, they're like notorious scammers. So they scam today, they will scam next week, and they will scam a month afterwards,
Right.
and dump on their followers. I mean, this is just something they always do. So they're like the bad guys. And they're very, I mean, at the end, there are very few switches between these two groups where there are some actions in the reputational score. So I think they need some major tweaks on the market thing they are having before this is anyhow having some product market fit. And yeah, I would say this is still an experiment and very hard to compare the both of them. But Kaito, it could really be the the center of attention as an attention market for all these new projects and the like. So I'm pretty bullish on what they're building. And with Ethos, we will see. Maybe it takes 1 or 2 more years until we know where they're moving. If they take this whole concept of on-chain reviewing, not just for crypto Twitter personalities, but for all kind of other things, that could be really huge, because there is some huge market for reputable, reviews, and not just something that can be botted and biased and so on.
Yeah, going long or short somebody's reputation is kind of interesting, right? It's if somebody's if somebody's seen by the public as a fair character, and then that they're a scammer, you could like go short their reputation, just wait till they pump or till they post a pump dump or something like that. Expanding this outside of crypto is probably nice. One of the other downsides, I guess, is like on X, there's an AI button on every profile. So you could just click and it gives you kind of the review of that person. So that's essentially a competing product. The tokenomics will be kind of the game changer. One other kind of SocialFi 2.0 project that's popped up recently, it's been getting a lot of attraction, is called Time.Fun. This one has been attempted at least 20 times. I've seen so many of these. Adam, I think we talked about one of these like a while ago.
Yeah.
Or even had somebody on the show who was trying to do something like this.
Totally.
Essentially, you're just renting your time out for tokens, right? Or for value. I saw Toli was like the #1 person on this, $41 a minute to buy their time. And I had signed up for it. I don't know if they actually went through, but the cool part here is the time mechanisms are extended to not just like a video call, right? So if you think of renting your time, I think the thing that comes to my mind is hopping on a Zoom call with somebody and like having a conversation, but you can actually do direct to DM as well. I think there's also like a private chat, something they borrowed from with Friendtech. And then there was a fourth one as well. But the DM one I thought was super cool, because so many times if you're like these large people, like Toli, his DMs are probably flooded. So if somebody's paying you to respond, then you can kind of get the more quality stuff straight up to the top. So essentially you'd be paying him $41 to respond to your DM here, because I think it's 1 minute, and the minutes are like the minutes are on a bonding curve as well. So they've kind of combined a lot of things from the past and try to build this really cool kind of experience. So Adam, what do you? So here it is: direct message, group chat, voice call, and video call. So right now they just have direct message and group chat enabled.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. This is one of these that we, as you said, we've seen it 20 times. The reality is it's okay. I mean, I think of like the best case of this already is Cameo, like being able to pay somebody to make a 1-minute video for you. Is actually a proven model. Like Cameo totally works, and it works not only for the consumer, but it works for the famous person. Like when they were starting, there was a lot of question, would this even work? Like, why would somebody famous, why would a famous actor make a video for somebody? Like, you can't pay him enough. You'd have to pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what they figured out was that, oh man, because it can take 30 seconds to make this video, you're literally by minute. Yeah, it's a 1 minute of their labor, but you can pay them $300, and times 1 minute times 60 is, $18,000. And like, all of a sudden the math starts mathing. And so it works. I just don't think, like, the on-chain mechanism of this, like, why does it need to be on chain? What's this really? I don't see it, man. It's one of those, again, it's been tried. I don't know, man. It just feels like the model's already done, and it's Cameo. I don't know, like the personal chat. I mean, it's been done too. Like, there are services now where famous people can, you can have a Zoom call with them, and it's $5,000 for a 30-minute Zoom with a business leader. Like, people have done this. I just think it's a tiny market and doesn't feel really impactful to me.
Chris, what is your take on Time.Fund? This is built on Solana. You do see a lot of Solana individuals on here. This is spread across things like founders, there's influencers, media and marketing. Is this something that has legs? Do you think this is more of just kind of like a crypto siloed product, or does it have a potential to gain some adoption?
I love the idea. I think it's like extremely important. I think it makes the most sense in something like crypto, where the leverage of maybe getting in touch with some of these people is much higher than somewhere in like Web 2. Like, if there's not much upside to having a conversation with like a B-list celebrity or something like that, but there is a high upside potential with having a conversation with like a project founder that you might be working on something that would benefit his company, or if you're like pitching yourself or your project to different VCs or something like that. So I think like there's a lot of upside leverage that would be used in a platform like this. And I think bringing it on chain and giving people the opportunity to kind of reach these people and put their dollars at the forefront and showing like what they're willing to pay to get in touch with them. I think it like really pushes a lot more signal than noise. This originally, the idea on Solana, at least, it started from this idea called Frenzy, where it kind of took off like right after the FTX collapse, and totally had like a conversation on the timeline. And he was like, what would be cool is if I could sell my inbox. So if I could charge people to email me. And then like 24 hours later, some like Anon spun up a thing called Frenzy. And then Totally used to be on that platform a lot. And you would pay him like $5 for an email. You'd get a response. And they would like kind of tier the prices up. But it seems like this is kind of the more polished version of that. And I think Totally was obsessed with the idea back then. So obviously, he has a lot of faith in it. And I think in crypto, there's just so much upside to getting in touch with the exact right person at this stage. And I think people will pay a lot of money for that.
What happens when we saw that chart that Jake was just showing is basically a shitcoin chart, thing goes down to
that
zero.
Was for Mert. I was showing Totally
Right.
as well.
So what happens when basically the coin become, you're an influencer. Okay, you're going to be on there. You're Totally or whatever, but now your minutes, rather than $45 a minute, is 18 cents a minute.
I would assume that they're
dude
just
buys an hour with you for $8.
I haven't looked at the platform, but I don't believe that it's only in time tokens. There's no USDC option.
You know what I'm saying, though? What I'm saying is, what's going to motivate the influencer or the individual to want to support this if your price basically runs to almost zero?
I think that the price is stable. Like, if Totally time is $45 a minute, I think it's $45 a minute in USDC or whatever the amount of time tokens is. I haven't deep dove the platform, but I assume that that's what it is. I don't think that the price of their time fluctuates with the token value.
They set their time and that's it. They don't. It doesn't.
So I believe you have to be paid in the time token, but you set the USD amount. So you're getting paid. So for Totally, he had it set at $250 per direct message. So he gets paid in the various amount of time tokens depending on what
I thought it was a free market floating token, which would be really interesting. See what your true value is, man.
I would like to see them have it in USDC if they don't, and then just buy the time tokens themselves from the open market on the backside, just as a UX improvement.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice. And that chart that I was showing with Mert, so Mert's token is $3 and his market cap is 300,000. So it's really not that much. Totally was $41, so the market cap is 4 million. So it's not anything like super crazy. I'd be interested to see like what Vitalik and some of these guys were. But I also agree with Chris that if it's on the open market, people are just going to value it. You do have this thing of you would need the creator or entrepreneur to also commit to doing it, right? There's this possibility that they just don't respond. There's also this other side of it is if this kind of like financialization takes off, then nobody's ever just going to respond to their DMs for free, which also
Pretty
puts
much
up
no one
a
does, though. Like, I mean, are people really DMing? What's the percentage of DMs that actually get responded to? It's like 0.1% out of all of them.
I would say I respond to generally if you're not like a bot and if you're somebody who's not just asking for money or something like that, I'll generally respond. But I'm not
That's
anywhere
now,
close
like,
to
what about in like 2 years when your inbox is twice as flooded? I'm saying like
yeah, it's for
of
flooded people.
Sum of DMs of the world, like the penetration rate is like 0.1% because you have so much spam, you have so much backup. The number of people that want to be reached or that are kind of like, you know, that people want to reach is a lot smaller than the people that want to reach them. You know what I mean? So just by default, they're not able to respond to that many. There's a blockage, a mismatch.
No, I completely agree. So we'll see. You know, so diving back out of that, you know, that's kind of SocialFi 2.0. I did see some other kind of products pop up, but once you start seeing that, it kind of becomes like a copy pasta. But yesterday, as I was kind of exploring some of these other sectors, just going back to AI because we're obviously building in it, I was going through all the DeFi AI stuff. I actually spent a few hours yesterday. That was the first time I had like a few hours and was really kind of looking through all these different categories on here. And DeFi AI, I just keep going back to this like DeFi AI stuff. Like to me, it just seems like such an obvious thing that people are interested in. I mean, you look at some of these other ones, like swarms could be something as well. But then I think of like, how do you invest in swarms, right? Is it the swarm token would be kind of interesting to see how these people build it, but there's really not that many people in there. DeFi AI has kind of started to expand quite a lot. And there was I think there was 30 tokens that were in front of Agent Hustle by market cap. And I was looking through all of these, and there's really only like the DeFi AI terminal seems to be like the most popular one. That's like Griffin, Hayanon, Agent Hustle, Wayfinder, something like that. And there's a handful of other ones. That to me seems like the most obvious one. There are some other ones where it's like you can deploy your bot, your trading kind of bot. It seems to be somewhat confusing. But to me, this seems like something that's a multi-billion-dollar industry that's only going to continue to grow here. I like that. I think I like DeFi AI the most coming out of this bear market.
Yeah, man. It's I mean, it seems like the one where if a winner kind of rises or a unique feature happens, it'll dominate the timeline. You know, and so yeah, I think somebody's going to do it. Hopefully it's us. You know, I mean, there's room here. I haven't really seen anything other than actually Banker is the one that has been on my timeline the most, just because of the ability to launch or move tokens on Twitter itself is kind of cool. And so they've got some traction, but certainly the infrastructure here is, I think within the next month or so, we're going to get something interesting happen on the timeline that people are going to get pretty excited about. It feels like that. I saw, who did I see today? Somebody, a big, it wasn't Farouk, it was somebody else, but he was saying, look, I'm buying AI tokens right now. It's basically there's blood in the streets, which is the sector that's going to pop next. Feels like it could be in the AI space. And certainly, given the run that they had, a month and a half, 2 months ago, there's a lot of room for those to run for sure.
For me, it's like, what else comes back? I do know a lot of people are just still buying Fartcoin. It seems to be, and that it is classified as a AI coin because it was somewhat created by Truth Terminal, I think is what it was. But outside of that, it's like, could you have another rise of KOLs? I think the next rise of like the KOLs is swarms, actually. So if you're going to bet on like that sector, to me, I would be betting on swarms, because the likelihood of what is the next evolution of these KOL bots, it's KOLs talking to each other, right? Or trading with each other, having them kind of interact with each other. And so what's in between that is people want a UX improvement, or they want a trade, or they just want something that's similar to, I guess, ChatGPT. I was listening to the founder of Hayanon talk on a podcast that he just did recently. And he has almost literally the same exact vision as what we do, which I assume is probably about the 5 or 6 other teams who are doing that. I'm actually quite surprised it's literally only about 5 or 6 teams doing this. To me, it seems like such a glaringly obvious multi-billion-dollar kind of industry that no one else is really kind of pursuing. Maybe the moat of like the AI kind of integration is that difficult to where a lot of people aren't pursuing it. I'm not really sure.
Well, I think it's also, we have an advantage because we've been building like the wallet infrastructure for years, right? And so it's like people can't just jump into that and be like, oh, I'm just going to make this, They may be able to do the AI stuff. The AI stuff is actually the easier stuff. It's all that wallet infrastructure that you need to build out. I think we have a super advantage there. I actually believe the next big KOL will be maybe a video-based KOL, that pops kind of in the same way that AI XBT popped. I think that's a possibility. But right now, that might be a year or two away. They kind of still suck. So yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Yeah, have you guys tried Banker actually? So because I did like last week, also had like 2 hours like Jake to look around a bit. I mean, I did a bit with Banker, like swapping something, to really just ETH versus some token. That took 2 minutes, and this thing was thinking and thinking and thinking. And then I tried the Twitter trick. It didn't work out. I wanted to do some more exotic things. Nothing worked. I think we are still so early in that game, and many teams try to do something, but I guess not many will actually deliver real working products where some real problems are solved, right? Because right now even the easy stuff is not working yet. So I would be super optimistic that if you really push hard, if you have the runway, and if you have the commitment and the conviction, then you're really on top of the whole crowd. Just need to be pushing. So I'm bullish on Hustle, because I know that you guys are not like giving up if it's like a bit difficult and then you run away for something else. But many teams will not survive. So pretty impressive to see what we will see maybe towards the end of the year.
What do you think about Banker and this idea of like tweeting out your transactions? I mean, I like it from a marketing perspective, but what's your kind of general thoughts on it?
I mean, there are several dimensions, right? The first dimension is it's super convenient, right? So you doom scroll on Twitter, you see something, and then you have your Twitter connected, and you're just like, wow, I want to do this, pure FOMO, right? Not much thinking, just like having fun, FOMOing into that. Not like opening your wallet, signing transactions, but really like the UX part is really cool. I'm not saying it makes a lot of sense to do these FOMO trades, but I'm just saying if you want to have fun, if you want to be quick, if you want to stay in the app, also for X, this is perfect if people would do that. So I would say this could be a crazy onboarding because it's so simple. Set up your wallet somehow, even if this is also simple, and then you just stay on your app, and you can do that not just on Twitter. I mean, you can do that on TikTok. You can do that wherever anything token related is out there. So I would even sponsor that if I had anything to say on X or TikTok and there and the like. I would like try to help those guys that this is really working, that the API is smooth and stuff, because that could be a huge crypto onboarding, because it's really, you stay on your app, you name it, Instagram, TikTok, X, You just see, hey, I want this now, $100 on this and that coin. This is awesome. So it could be huge onboarding. That's what most people want. They don't want to open their wallet. They don't want to sign 5 times stuff. They just want to click buy. So that's the simplest thing you can have. So that's the bullish case. On the flip side, I mean, these are not the most informed trades. I'm not sure whether that's very sustainable. But if you let's say if you're like a huge TikTok person, you know, doing a token launch on TikTok, you're like 5 million people watching the stream, and they just click buy this and that. I mean, you could have a billion, multi-billion token after an hour. You know what these guys do, and with their instant sales, like they do a billion revenues in an hour. This could be massive. I mean, if you target these markets, that could be insane.
Yeah, so I'm playing with your hand on the live stream. You know, the UX is really clean. It looks like this. So they have EVM. They've added Solana, it looks like, since last time I came on here. Some of the things they could do, it says token management, swaps, transactions, cross-chain operations, schedule tasks, multi-sig management, and price data. You know, every time I come onto these, I also did try Banker. It didn't really work for me. But I tried to link my wallet to it. I've only seen these in like a handful of these DeFi AI terminals where you can just link your Phantom wallet or your MetaMask directly to it. Most of them, like Hayanon, also Agent Hustle, will be the same. Is you actually have to open up a new wallet, because then that wallet is co-managed by the LLM that's kind of attached to it. But every time, even I do this with Agent Hustle sometimes, it's like you look at it and you just kind of wonder what to do with this, right? It's like kind of changing that habit of what we have already of going around and clicking buttons to doing it in this terminal. So I kind of have somewhat of a hard time doing this, but I need to see different types of tools that I don't know how to do, that I don't know how to just go around and click buttons for. Things like DCA, you know, limit orders, things like that. The conditional based trading, I think, is really where the big unlock is, where you just say things like, and I see this on the Banker timeline as well, of they buy the token when it's dropped by 5% or something like that. I think that simple things like that will go a long way, because then I don't have to sit there kind of and wait for the actual ticker or the token to drop, and you can kind of do this automation stuff. It really evens the playing field between retail and those quants who are using algos, or even just kind of in the middle of retail traders who have bots to get kind of advantage. So I think it just really kind of evens that playing field.
For sure.
Chris, have you dabbled around with any of these DeFi AI terminals?
Yeah, I mean, they're still pretty bare bones. I like Hustle's layout the most. I mean, I'm obviously biased there, but you know, it just kind of brings all these tools into one interface. So if you think like the best tool in traditional finance is a Bloomberg terminal, you get your news, you can make your execute your trades, you have everything in one interface. And then Agent Hustle, you can talk to it verbally, you can text natural language to type. So I think it has a huge benefit there. And I think that there's just so many things that people would do within the industry if it was just one click away or one text away. So just, you know, so many people wish that they had better discipline when trading. They would love to buy 10% down on the next 10% dip or the next 20% dip, but their timing is always off and they kind of have quick FOMO. So they always just buy it because they don't want to come back to it. But when you can just type natural language to carry out that discipline for you, I think it just opens up a lot more doors and discipline and just kind of a new way to interface with the industry that we haven't had. And I think more discipline in this industry can go a long way.
Bro, just even think about whatever. AVAX meme coins on the timeline this week, bro. What am I going to fucking bridge to AVAX? Fuck, I'm just not going to do it. But if I could just be like, hey, send half an ETH over to AVAX and give me whatever, the native token over there, and then go buy, you know, I don't know what it was, Bobo. Buy me, use that money to buy Bobo. I would have totally done it. 100% would have done it this past week. But I just didn't want to go through that, the 15-minute learning curve.
And learning about them in general. Tell me about what's going on AVAX. What are the top meme coins over there? How are the volumes looking? rather than going to like, DeFi Radar or something like that.
Yep.
And just like having to search chain by chain. It's just so much easier and cleaner to bring it into a single interface that you can just browse and gain information that and ask questions in a way that you wouldn't be able to with Google or with your single crypto friend that you don't want to pester them with a bunch of questions, but you can always go to this AI interface. And I think that that's like a huge unlock.
Yeah, I'm excited once we get Agent Hustle live. We're going to do some live streams, trading on camera with this interface to see what you can do. It'll be probably a little clunky.
There's going to be some shit that goes sideways. Zero question, man. Zero question. It's going to be fun, man.
Yeah, there was somebody I was talking to the other day. I forget who it was telling me that they were trading with an LLM and it like bought the wrong token and it lost them like $100 grand or something like that.
Holy shit, bro.
Right. So you have to speak to it precisely. I guess the issue was they said to buy this token, they didn't put the contract address, and so it just bought one of the similar ticker, but the wrong one. And yeah,
I mean, it's totally their own fault. And obviously it has to be contract based because there's a million different tickers with the same letters, just simple user error.
And you think about that, right? That those mistakes will happen. And then with swarms, I think that's where it gets interesting, where you don't know. And all these different AI agent devs I've talked with also have no idea what the output is when you combine 2 or 3 agents together. You can have kind of a prediction, but there's actually no predetermined outcome. So they could obviously sell everything, they could buy everything. And a few years from now, when we're into this kind of intelligence era, that maybe they're the ones that are just trading for all of us. We all have 5 or 6 agents who are doing it. But it'll be interesting, right? We're building more of a monolithic kind of DeFi AI structure. We're just one agent, one platform. And then some of these other ones, you have different types of agents that you plug into their terminal for different types of specialties. I'm not that much of an advanced AI user to understand a lot of the differences of it, but maybe that's something that you have to learn over time. Maybe I'm just saying we're building the Solana of AI devs or AI agents.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. I think we'll wrap it up here. We had a good call. It's funny because you look at all these shows, like these Twitter spaces that are happening. So many of them just stopped talking, right? A lot of these shows disappeared, and a lot of the show sizes are getting smaller because so many people have kind of just left the industry. And then the other ones are just kind of not really looking around for alpha. You're kind of just burnt out. This is when people go and take breaks. They'll come back when the price is much higher.
Yep.
But if you just stick around and, look for these outsized opportunities. I mean, I was looking at the Agent Hustle price or Tensor token yesterday. It dropped down to 600,000. It's from 18 mil to 600K. That's an insane drop. But then I was looking at all these other tokens. There's some that are even down even higher. There's some that are 200 million that are literally 2 million. It's great. It's crazy. Everyone literally just sold their token. It's just us left.
The KOLs went, there were ones crazy. We talked about them on the show here. It's ones that went absolutely bonkers and there was nothing there. Full vaporware, price manipulation. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. The re-rise of Hustle is going to be glorious, bro.
The re-rise. Yeah, we ain't going anywhere. I appreciate everyone for joining us. We're going to be back next week. Maybe we'll bring some guests on. We had a great time at ETH Denver. We're continuing to move forward. I think our dev just deployed Emblem 2.0 on base. So
let's go, baby.
That's going to be coming here pretty shortly. We just got that audit completed and should be a fun time here in March for the Emblem team. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Please make sure that you follow the Emblem account as well as the Agent Hustle account so that you can follow everything we're doing in the AI space. Until then, we'll see you on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Enjoy your weekend and be safe out there.
Thanks, guys.
Later.